Welcome back to the Professional Lovers Channel.
We're glad you're with us again tonight because, oh my goodness, the honeymoon turned a little sour for several other couples. We're kind of used to seeing one or two, have a little bump in the road, but 3 out of the 5 had bumps in the road tonight. I don't know that we're including Alyssa and Chris because they're just done.
No, Alyssa's done.
Okay, that means they're done. But anyway, we'll get to them. But if you're a new subscriber,
welcome.
Welcome, and you know that what we do is we try our best to talk about issues of relationships that you go through when you're trying to build a relationship. And we talk about those issues through the lens of Married at First Sight and what we see the couples going through. We met in our 30s. We were set up. So we weren't arranged and we didn't marry as strangers, but we experienced some of the same issues. And so we just kind of share what we've experienced and how we've done things with you by talking about what we see on Married at First Sight. And so here we go.
Yeah. And basically it's all about behavior and communications.
Right.
I mean, that's what forms any type of relating to anyone. You know, your behavior and your manner of communication. And
if we talk about anything without the full story, like for instance, when we talked about Lindsey and Mark and the whole airport thing last week, one of our viewers, L. Perkins, told us that much more came out in the Married at First Sight after party that comes on, which we typically don't watch because we really don't have the time, but it sounds like we should because you get more of the backstory.
Right. There's definitely some insight in certain behaviors and occurrences that we're not privy to when it comes down to just seeing the show itself.
Right. Right. And we always know that there's some type of a backstory that we don't see because it's a show and it's produced and, it's edited. So we get that. But thank you. And continue to point those things out. True. Because we do
take them into consideration.
Right. And
we look at your comments.
The more story you have, then the more objective you can be, even when talking about the issues, and not necessarily the people. So starting with Lindsey and Mark. We were about 5 minutes late on the show, but it appeared as though Mark was talking with Lindsey about the airport scenario. She seemed to be contributing it to being tired. He seemed to be contributing it to her drinking too much.
The 3 bottles of wine.
With no food. And talked about, the whole alcohol thing. And we saw that last season with the youngster. What was her name? I can't remember her name.
That married the pilot.
Right. Who the party girl. Yeah. Who was a lush, basically. But I mean, that was her lifestyle. That's what she enjoyed. Okay. So Mark, I think, was gently trying to talk with Lindsey about that part of the issue and being careful about how much she drank and
again, this is someone that you are now married to. So it's almost like you're in a situation where you do have feelings for this person, regardless of how minute or how intense they may be, because you're married to this person. And so you do want to kind of couch your words and you want to be diplomatic and you want to be understood and you don't want to be accusatory. But in this case, it's a situation where his attempt at trying to let her know where he felt she needs to bring it down a bit, I don't think he was quite...
Oh, well, you jumped all the way to the end.
Well, but again, but I think even in the beginning, in his attempt to saying, you're always up here. her drinking keeps her up here, and the situations ultimately end up in a problematic situation.
Well, let's say it starts with her inability to communicate in a mature, effective way. Her style is one of, I use communication to express myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use communication to negotiate. I don't use communication to find out what the other person is thinking. I simply use communication to express myself.
Right.
And so I say whatever I want to say, how I say it, when I say it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the whole not having a filter is.
Yeah.
You put alcohol on top of that, and it's like
volatile.
No holds barred.
True.
So, so let's start with the fact that she doesn't communicate in an adult way.
Okay.
And then when you get tired or you get drunk or whatever, it just makes it worse.
True. Also,
her energy level is really overwhelming. Yeah. And again, for some people, having energy like that where you have to be the energy for everyone, mm-hmm. and you have to overwhelm everyone with your energy, sometimes comes from low self-esteem, mm-hmm. sometimes comes from just your own discomfort. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a lot of times it can be an insecurity thing.
Exactly. And that's basically what I was thinking of, it being an insecurity element that, if all attention is on you, then you don't really have to worry about certain things. Exactly what they are, I can't really pinpoint them right now, but as long as you're putting it out there, you don't have to be negotiating, with someone and, interact in a fashion where people get to know you for real, which is where the insecurities come in, where you don't want people to know who you really are because you're insecure about it.
Yeah. Now, we're not saying that Lindsey's completely insecure. No. And that anyone who has a very gregarious personality or sanguine personality.
That's why they do what they do.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying. Yeah. But when you're over the top and you don't know when to dial it back.
Consistently. Yeah.
And that's Mark's problem, I think, is that she doesn't know when to dial it back. Yeah. It's just up here all the time. Yeah. And so jumping to the end, after the little incident on the catamaran, mm-hmm. and Mark starts, at their romantic dinner, which of course didn't turn out to be romantic. Yeah. He did not express what he was trying to say well
at all.
Because as you pointed out, that the issues are not really between them.
Right. Because I believe they're in the mode of trying to communicate and trying to get to know each other. It's just that when they get in the surroundings where everybody else is observing one another, I think it's just a trigger with her that, again, she's, entertainment. And, now that she's put herself in a situation where people are kind of eyeing her because of her behavior, she has been a little bit more reserved. I believe she, listened and even absorbed certain things, but because of where she had left things, that how it was coming and the triggers that it put in some other individuals, such as Katina. Mm-hmm. Katina didn't even want to be in close proximity because of how intense that previous situation that we did not necessarily see on camera was. So, that first impression, you only get that one time, and that's what she put out there. And so, again, between her and Mark, I don't think there's really that much of a problem. But for the simple fact that Mark understands that we're going to spend time as a group, mm-hmm. that because of that situation that was created, you need to pull it in. You need to pull it back. you know.
Because frankly, I was confused with Mark. I was confused with him saying, we need to slow down.
Yeah.
We need to be less. We need to, I don't know if I want to be so lovey-dovey. And she's like, wait a second. We've already consummated the marriage. On the one hand, you tell everybody how great I am, but on the other hand, you say you want to slow it down, you want things to flow organically, and you want to be less. What does that mean? Well, I was sitting here asking, what does that mean?
True.
So when she asked, what is it that you really want? And he still couldn't really articulate what he was really saying.
Because in my opinion, I believe with the manner in which he would have said it, it would have sounded accusatory. And I don't think he wants to hurt her feelings.
No.
But in this situation, she kind of has brought certain things upon herself. But again, it's his attempt to try to protect his wife. That's what he wants to do. And Lindsey has even expressed that herself, that she feels his personality is about protecting who he is with.
Right.
He's
kind of being a
by.
natural nurturer.
Right.
And a people pleaser, as she puts it.
Yeah. But in this case...
I was going to say, in this case, he's trying to protect himself too.
Right. So, because he doesn't want to just blame her, you know, but I don't believe he was being specific enough for her to understand it was the overall group relationship and how that encounter can be a little awkward and volatile because of what it was, not necessarily the two of them.
So, sour honeymoon number 1. Jasmine and Michael. Sour honeymoon number 2. So they had a couple of little tiffs.
Yeah.
She believes that, you know, his overthinking is a problem. One of our viewers said, you know, I think it was JW, said that she's the idealist and he's the realist.
Yeah.
And once again, family descriptions of him stuck in Jasmina's head. He thinks the worst of everything. That's the first. He thinks the worst of everything. He's more of a
Not
negative.
that he expects it.
Negative perspective than positive.
But I can understand that in certain instances where you just won't be blindsided if things go south, you know. But you don't do that in every situation.
Well, and it sounds like he does it in every situation, which is the issue that she has. I like the fact that, you know, they did talk. She did ask questions about, have you always done that? Why do you do that? Did something happen in your past? And he explained all of the loss that he's experienced. And so it's become, as he said, a coping mechanism to think that way. So as you said, he's not blindsided. He's not surprised when things go south because he's already kind of prepared himself.
But there was also a couple of times you had mentioned that all she had to do was try to kind of throw him a bone, that, you know,
give some assurances.
You're right. You don't have to be pessimistic about this situation, you know. Kind of like Pretty Women. There was a line in the movie that said, you know, I'm a sure thing. I mean, they're married, okay? So it was like, you should be able to let down your guard in this particular instance where it's just the two of us relating to one another, and you don't have to overthink this situation. Let's just enjoy it for what it is, you know. I mean, yeah, it is an extreme, but it is what it is. We're just relating to one another.
Yeah, and I was hoping that she would give him some assurances, but that didn't happen.
It didn't.
And then when they got into their second tip about him accusing her of cutting him off when they were on the catamaran and talking about not consummating their marriage yet, and when they replayed the clip, she didn't cut him off.
Right. She let him finish his sentence, then she added to it.
Yeah. Now, but he perceived that as being cut off.
Yeah.
She did not. He demanded an apology.
Yeah.
She did not give him the kind of apology he demanded. And in the whole situation, again, and they talked about it at their dinner and all of that. And, you know, I was saying, you know, in marriage, you have to go in being other-centered.
Yeah.
At this point, not knowing each other, they're both coming from my own perspective,
right.
my own feeling. This is how I'm going to do it.
Right.
And
while both of them did.
Both of them did. And while I understand that, the reality is that you really have to. We're gonna. I'm bringing in the book. Okay, I'm becoming a professional lover, and there is a tip in here that says settle your differences by meeting each other's present needs. Instead of saying, well, I'm sorry you felt that way, which comes across as
a little condescending.
To say something like, I don't remember cutting you off, but if that's what you feel I did, I apologize for that. That would never be my intention.
Right.
To me, that's at least explaining that we don't remember it the same way.
That's it.
But I'm going to apologize to you because you feel like that's what I did.
Right. And that's meeting a person halfway, even if you don't understand the other side of that, you know.
And that's to me what being other-centered is.
About true.
Is that you're trying to understand your partner's perspective and their feelings, whether you agree with them or not.
Right. You don't minimize or downplay however it is that they feel about a situation. That's like pointing fingers, as opposed to we often do. All of us. We often say because of how we feel, somebody did something to us, as opposed to because of whatever the occurrence was, I felt hurt or I felt a certain way, you know, as opposed to you made me feel, you know.
Right.
It's not about what you did. It's about how I received it.
Right. And to say, you know, I'm not going to apologize for something I didn't do. Okay.
Maybe you didn't do it, but that's how it was perceived.
But that's how your partner perceived it.
Yeah.
So the words that you choose, the delivery that you
critical.
That you use those words in, all of those things are critical and it's learned.
True.
Effective communication is learned. But it starts with being other-centered. And right now they can't be other-centered because they're strangers and they don't know each other.
Yeah. Don't know what you like or what you don't like, you know. But you can, under, I believe, any circumstance, you can be objective.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Unless it's a principle that you feel you can't compromise on. But then again, that's your prerogative. But I believe you can always be objective.
Right. Alyssa and Chris, we're not spending a lot of time here.
There's no time to be
because there are really no issues
here. She's not
here.
willing to spend time. So
she is completely off the charts. But we did find out that her issue is the fact that her psychic described her mate one way, and the experts did not choose
what the psychic
described.
Yeah.
So the experts got it wrong.
He doesn't have an ego tattoo.
And you know, so that's, you know, so she's mentally and emotionally she's out.
She was out before she was in.
Now,
as soon as she turned the corner, she was done.
Yeah. And so and it's interesting, you know, why did this happen to me?
Yeah, everything is about her.
Why me? very self-centered.
I mean, in a situation, okay, I don't know if anybody's been to Puerto Rico or not, but worst case scenario, even if you don't like this individual romantically, you're getting a free vacation. Accept it. I mean,
no, she's accepting it.
No, she ain't.
She's accepting it as long as she doesn't have to be.
She doesn't want to be there. She wants to go home.
Well, yeah, she did say that at the end. You know, they had a couple of fun excursions. The last one though, where he went scuba diving, she refused to go because that would put her in too close proximity to him. And I don't want to be next to him. I don't want to be, I don't want us to look like we're together because we're not. And when her mama called her out on it, she got mad and cried. And then it was, tell him don't come over here because I don't want him over here.
So you take it out on him because of how you feel, because somebody else said that he had absolutely nothing to do with, but he's the one being punished for it. You missed me with that one.
All right. So we're done with them. We're done with her. Okay. And once again, it's not right that production is that the terms of participation create this type of behavior and encounter when people don't like who they've been paired with. And we've seen it over and over in past seasons.
Yeah.
And it's sad that you're going for drama instead of
supporting a relationship.
Yeah.
Because I still wonder where the experts are when it comes to situations like this, where you see that there's a breakdown in communication and you can provide another means or another method or some additional option in which a person can communicate in a slightly different manner so that things can be at least pleasant.
Because she is not pleasant
at all. She's
just downright mean. And she doesn't see it. In her mind, it's everybody else.
Really?
I'm a great person. I'm the nicest person. Yeah. Anyway, so much for them. Noi and Steve. Well, they had a different issue tonight. Noi feels like she's falling in love. And here's the classic, I'm going to say it first and see if you respond in like.
Yeah, exactly.
In like manner. And when you don't, I feel a certain type of way.
Like you put yourself out there. I mean, but you did.
You did. And that was her choice.
True.
To put herself out there. To say that she's falling in love.
Yeah, she feels that she's falling in love.
And at the end, Katina did the same thing. Now, this is a classic case of people not really understanding the definition of love.
Yeah.
We attach love. It's very common to attach love to how I feel.
Yeah.
You make me feel happy. I feel connected. Noi said she felt an instant connection to Steve. They're comfortable with each other enough to engage in natural bodily functions and they're not weirded out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it takes time to get to that point, but they're already at that point.
Right.
And so because of that connection, because of the naturalness of their interaction, because of the comfort level of their physical affection,
encounter, display of affection.
Yeah, even though they haven't consummated,
right.
But their affection with each other.
PDAs, public displays of affection.
She's falling in love because she feels great.
Mm-hmm. That's not what love is.
Love is a commitment, not a feeling. Because what happens when you don't feel great?
Exactly.
Then you say, "Oh, I don't love you anymore."
You throw out the baby with
we
the
saw
bathwater.
that with Rose, right? Last season.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't love him anymore because he's not making me feel good.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the first problem. then when you look at the principles of love, and I'll go through these really quickly, that love endures long, is patient and kind,
Yes.
never envies, nor boils over with jealousy, does not boast, is not conceited or arrogant, is not rude or unbecoming in behavior, doesn't insist on its own way, isn't touchy, isn't fretful, isn't resentful, doesn't keep
score.
Right, doesn't keep count of wrongs, doesn't rejoice at injustice, doesn't fade out or come to an end. Now, when you think about all those principles of love, there is no way that in 2 or 3 days you can say, I'm falling in love.
Yeah.
You don't even know him. What you're enjoying are the warm fuzzies that you're feeling. And those are good.
True. And that's good.
They have their place.
Yeah.
But that is not love.
And hopefully that, periodically they ebb and flow and they come and go,
Ebb and flow is the key phrase.
Yeah.
Because there will be times when those warm fuzzies are not there.
That's true. And then are you no longer in love?
There you go.
It's about being committed to the individual through those situations that are not, warm and fuzzy.
Right.
And some of them are real and some of them are necessary. And that's where you get to know truly, are you committed to this individual? Are you truly in love with this individual?
And so it's just not enough time at this point to
72
say,
hours?
I'm in love.
Sheesh.
Okay. And Katina, she's had her guard up because she's not wanting to make herself vulnerable to someone who she's not sure
about. Yeah. Who's new?
Who talks the talk, but she's not sure if he walks the walk.
Yeah, especially since he's walked all kinds of ways.
Exactly. But because he says all the right things and he does all the right things when it comes to her, then I'm falling in love. Now, he was interesting.
He is interesting.
Yeah. Another very high energy, and that's partly why he and Lindsey clash too, because they're both very high energy.
True.
And they're both up here.
Exactly.
And both extremely passionate.
And that's what it is. I mean, with Olajuwon, his thing is passion. He feels the stronger and more intently that he poses a situation, he'll get the true feeling or the true response out of you.
And that's what we found out tonight, is that some of the things that he pushes buttons on purpose
to see what the
reactions are going to be.
Yeah.
And so it's like he's creating these little tests for her, like what he did, which he admitted he did when they were working out at the gym.
Yeah.
I purposely pushed her hard to see what her reaction would be.
Where her resistance level would be.
Right.
Where she would say, I don't like this. I'm not
or
doing this.
Or if she would say, I don't like this.
And he felt he was happy that she did eventually say, well, I don't like this. This isn't what I, bargained for right now.
Is there a problem with
there'll be enough
doing
life,
that?
There'll be enough life where you'll find out exactly where everybody's threshold is. You don't have to create situations or create scenarios just to see what the response will be from a situation. Trust me, there'll be enough life that will take you to the brink and put you on the edge of that cliff.
And just like when they were on the catamaran talking about threesomes or whatever, and he said, "Hey, if my wife offered me a threesome,
who am I to deny her?"
Exactly. And again,
idiot stick.
He comes, when the two of them are talking. Oh, I would not really do that. I said it to see what your response would be, and you made a point that he's walking an edge.
Yeah, he likes
of game
living
playing
on the edge.
He's game playing in a way that
it's provocative.
Yeah. And these little tests that he's creating, to see if she passes them or not, it's like you said, it's manufacturing something that you don't have to manufacture.
True.
The longer you're with somebody, you'll find out what they're about.
Life will present its own situations where you will know if a person has your back or if a person can withstand certain situations. You'll know where you need to step in and where you need to hold back. I mean, everyday living will present all of those scenarios.
And these little tests and the little games are also manipulative.
Exactly.
And that's not a characteristic that creates a positive relationship.
It's sort of scary. It's really sort of scary.
So yeah, and I don't know if this is kind of a holdover from his play days. His Isaac days. But that could end up getting him into some trouble.
Yeah.
Or creating interactions that would not be positive.
Sure.
So there you have it. And in scenes,
weekly recap.
In the scenes from next week, we have to deal with more Alyssa. and really, we're kind of done.
Whatever.
So we want to concentrate on the real issues.
People who are putting effort toward creating a relationship.
Exactly.
And
who really want to create a relationship.
Really, yeah, who are in this journey for the long haul, at least to date.
Right.
So they're putting in the effort. And I think everybody else kissed at least once for the upcoming, So whatever they have gone through, they're working through it. And, we look forward to seeing exactly how things become a little bit more fortified and strengthened. And
right.
How the relationships build and
and get to where we hope they can be.
Well, to get to where they expect to be, which is why they got involved in this situation.
Hopefully.
Forever.
Right. And until then, we hope that you have a good rest of the week.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. And peace.
Enjoy.